Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for a new episode of A New Go of New Home Sales. I'm your host, Anya Chrisanthon, and joining me today is Sean Vo. Sean is the National Director of Sales for Levven. So welcome to the podcast, Sean. I'm really excited to have you on, and I'm excited for our conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to being on with you.
So why don't we kick things off and give our listeners a quick introduction of who you are and what your journey has been into home building industry.
Absolutely. I'm Sean Vo with Levven Electronics. I am the National Director of Sales here. And getting into real estate really wasn't the direction I thought I was going to be going into when I was graduating college, first generation American, and just like most others that experienced what I did, my parents believed I should have gone to med school, graduated with my degree in biology. Honestly, I graduated after college not knowing what I was wanting to do, and I did what most other people did in that situation, went out and got my real estate license. In that time, I got to know a little bit about the builders, what they were doing, and how the builder industry worked. And I went from being a real estate agent to working for a national builder. From there, I really grasped onto the construction technology and being more out in the field than wanting to be in the office, which for being a salesperson, you want to be there for when potential homeowners are looking to come in and buy a house. But I found more of a fascination of actually being in the construction side of it.
You have both the sales experience with home builders as well as the construction experience. So you have both sides of the equation. So tell us a little bit about Levven Electronics. What are you guys are known for, and what is it that you're trying to do in the industry that's so different?
One of the things that we would have said back when I was working at the builder to a home buyer coming in is, hey, don't mind the house under construction. It's a little bit of a messy thing. Don't worry about what you see in there. Let's get your hard hat on. I'll walk you through and explain everything. And an aspect to that really became when you took a look at placing the switches in the house and saw the wire being ran through. There'd be concerns of, wait, is this where the switch is meant to go? Hey, this switch is crooked. Can I move these around? And that's something that James Kierstead, founder of Levven, really found a solution for and created this wonderful technology that is now Levven Electronics. We've taken what a switch is, broken it into two components, the relay and the switch portion itself of what you interact with every day. That relay goes up into the ceiling, attached to your light fixture, and it communicates with your switch that gets flush mounted to the wall after drywall, texture, and paint, which allows for you to be able to say after you move in, hey, I don't want this switch so far away from my front door. I'm going to take the two screws off of the switch itself and move it a little bit over. Funny enough, for me, it actually helped out with my kiddos gaining a little bit more independence and moving the switches down to their height so that they're able to walk up, turn on and off lights in their bedroom, go to the bathroom at night, and be able to have a little bit more of that ability to be independent on their own and have some fun with some of the automations with it and creating a pathway from the bedroom to the bathroom for them.
Wow, that sounds like some kind of a witchery here. So you guys are really known for that wireless lighting control technology, and I think that is so great because, yeah, it seems that we haven't really made much of a progress in home building industry when it comes to construction and the way we build homes and the wiring. I live myself in an older home. Unfortunately, in my area, it would cost an arm and a leg to buy new construction, which one day, hopefully I will. But we had those old school lamps all over the house because my house was built back in the 50s and I really couldn't stand it. And so my husband and I decided to put the overhead lighting, and oh my goodness, I mean, it cost an arm and a leg to do that. And the wire, it was insane amount of wire required everywhere. They had to re-drill the holes. Yeah, the location wasn't right, patching up the holes, the ceiling, everything. It was a nightmare. So I'm glad we did it because it definitely adds to the aesthetics, to the look of it and everything. but it's a pain in the butt. Like you said, once the switch is in, you really can't relocate it. It's you're marrying the switch, and better be happy that you picked the right spot. So I love that you're able to actually switch the location of the switches, like you said, for your children. I would love to do that for my daughter's room because she's a little monkey and wants to be independent, always climbing up on top of furniture where she probably shouldn't be, and switching things on and off. So that's awesome. So how does that work? Is it as easy as adding that little control to the light system? Do you need internet?
So you have the power controller itself, and this is the computer unit that is basically controlling the pathway of power to the fixture. Then you have the switch. Our engineers, I love them. They've over-engineered this to the nth degree for security. We didn't go with Z-Wave because it would require multiple devices and a close range for communication. We didn't go with Bluetooth because it's not really meant to have as many devices, such as 40 switches in your house. Did not know that we have as many switches in a home as I now realize. But if you go through and you count them out, you have anywhere between 35 to 50 throughout your home. And Bluetooth doesn't really allow for that ease. Then there's Wi-Fi, which I don't know if you're familiar with how Wi-Fi really does the communication to different devices, but it does what's basically a shotgun approach of, let me send out this large blast of a signal, and hopefully it reaches that device. I'm going to keep sending it on out till it gets to there. What we wanted to do was have a communication pathway that allows for a homeowner to say, hey, I'm going to hit this and my light is going to turn on instantly, even though it's wireless. I want the same experience as a wired switch, but with the ease of knowing I could move this or change what it controls at any point in time. So we developed our own radio wave communication protocol that allows for us to be able to do that instantaneous light on, light off, and have as many devices as we do in the network for it to talk as a mesh network and be able to communicate up to 350 feet away from the closest controller.
Wow, that all the things you said, the Z-Wave, the Bluetooth. I'm sure people who are not as familiar with that's probably going over their heads as it is over mine. But as little as I know about electronics, it sounds to me like maybe the radio waves is maybe less harmful to the humans as well as Wi-Fi, because I know personally that is a big concern for me. My kids are now 12 and they want iPhones, and we've been trying to hold off on iPhones. And it's okay, do we get them the iWatches? But my concern is that thing is attached to your body at all times. It's emitting a lot of radiation, a lot of those Wi-Fi signals that are disrupting your body. So personally, I'm always big on putting away my phone into a separate room overnight, putting it on airplane mode so that I don't have those waves constantly going through me. And I know it is a big concern for most people. So am I right in that sense that the radio waves don't quite have that same effect on human body, hopefully?
And for us, with the radio waves that we use, it's the ones that are basically still ambient out in the air. We communicate at the 800 megahertz range. It's a wide band. Now that's what's known as the public communication band there. So any kind of radio waves that are emitted for public use is going to be somewhere in that band range. So it's really low. This is where my nerdiness gets turned on here for my degree in biology, but it's they're really low energy waves. So there's not a lot of energy being carried in that wave radio range for you to have any kind of worry on the effects of the body there. You make a great point about the cell phones. You have more radio waves being emitted at a stronger frequency from your cell phone than you do from anything like what we have. If you're standing too close to the microwave, or if you go on airplanes frequently enough, you're getting more radiation from that than you are anything that would have this kind of radio communication protocol.
That's amazing that you guys thought through that, and we can all feel good about that. Tell us a little bit more about the product. So is it basically it changes the way that the traditional home is wired, because essentially for home builders, you don't have to have wires at all. Can that be applied to to existing fixtures. So talk me through both applications for new construction as well as maybe for remodelers.
Let me ask you this. Is there any switch in your house that you wish you could turn to a three-way? Basically meaning you have one light switch and it's not in an area you'd like, but you want to put another light switch in another area of your home.
Absolutely. Like my house, again, it's an older home, so we don't have the switch like up and down the stairs. So if you turn on the light, you have to go down the stairs to turn it off, which is a pain in the butt, especially with young children, as they don't feel comfortable walking up and down the stairs in the dark. It makes me nervous as a mother. So I wish we had a switch at the top of the stairs to turn it off.
If you were to buy, let's say, one of our controllers and switches, you could take the plate off of your switch on the bottom of your steps, put this behind where your switch is currently at, attach the red to the red, black, white in there, and have this sit inside. On the front side, you'll put the switch on here, and then you would get a second one of our switches, press both sides of this. Now that pairs the second switch to the controller. You would grab any kind of decor plate, slap that onto the front of where you're placing the controller at the bottom of the stairs, climb up the stairs there, get the second switch you paired in, put that on the wall. You don't have to pull any extra wire. You don't have to cut hole into your drywall, and it just sits flush onto there. What that means for someone that is wanting to retro their house with this is you don't really have to call an electrician to run extra wire behind the wall, because what they'll end up telling you is saying, hey, I'll cut the sheetrock, but I'm not going to be the one that paints and patches it. Now for new construction, every single place that you have a switch, you have what's called a switch leg that runs down from the fixture through the wall to get to the switch. We completely remove all switch legs in the house. There's not a lot of changes that come with the actual wiring itself in the ceiling. And what we're doing is really caring for the trade and the builder in this process, because the most tedious part of the labor in installing the lighting controls in the home is the milling and drilling throughout the house to run the wire. And we essentially reduce about 30% of the holes being drilled through your top plates, your studs, and being brought on over to the switch locations, which reduces 30% of the most tedious part of the installation. I'm not sure if you've ever had a chance to walk construction while they're doing a rough-in, but
I spent my years on the construction site selling new construction, so I know all about it.
those guys that are either looking up and pushing the drill straight on up and having their back hunched, or even being on the ladder trying to pull the wire through, any kind of reduction to those tedious tasks is just helpful for the wear and tear on their body. I grew up with family members that were trades in the industry as well, and being on the construction site, seeing them do the install, and even knowing where they're at today with the fatigue that has built on their body, something like this where technology can help make that job faster, easier, and quicker to install. This is where technology really needs to help push to reduce the labor shortages we're experiencing in markets. It's not just electricians. We're seeing the labor shortages across all the trades here in the US. And any kind of technology that helps make that an easier process and increase labor capacity, it's going to be helpful and necessary for as we progress and try to push for affordable housing to continue.
Absolutely. So Sean, are you telling me that someone like me would be able to do that three-way switch, or do I still need an electrician? Because when it comes to those wires, I'm feeling pretty terrified of that.
With a couple of YouTube videos and attending YouTube University there, anything is possible. But I would always tell someone, get with a professional to do an install if you're not comfortable. If you are, make sure the safety precautions are in place. Turn off the power to the circuit you're working with, and be able to recognize your own limitations if it's something you're not comfortable doing. But truly and honestly, it's quite easy to do if you're taking the time to understand what you're doing. And it's where we see a lot of people buying this on Amazon. We're reaching out and asking, hey, did you guys hire an electrician to put this in? And they're saying, no, you guys made it as easy as possible for me to be able to do this. I didn't need to.
Wow, that's incredible. So it sounds like you don't need to be necessarily an electrician. Best practice to use an electrician just so you don't get yourself in trouble. But again, with electrician, I'm sure the amount of time it's going to take them to complete something like that is going to be a fraction of it. Now let's talk cost, because obviously I can imagine you are saving a lot on just labor cost, which is very expensive these days. As you mentioned, it's difficult to find skilled labor, so it may not be available right away, somebody who can run through the wires and everything, plus all the time that it takes. So what are we talking cost-wise? If I'm comparing your traditional switches to your switch, what's the cost difference?
It's a question I get asked frequently, and it's a comparison that is actually unique to our product because you don't take a look at other smart switches and say, okay, hey, if I'm going to do an entire house with a smart switch at every location, what's the cost difference between that and traditional lighting? You're looking at thousands of dollars right off the bat for other smart switches. Because we focus so heavily on the operational effectiveness during the installation process, we're gained the ability of our value to talk about the amount of material being removed, the amount of wire removed, plastic boxes, staples, and the time it takes to do the install. And what we've seen over the thousands of installs we've done, if you're purely looking at material to material, we are a cost increase of about $500-600 depending on the size of the home. But when you take into consideration labor, we have trades that have been able to offer this as a standard for builders at no cost difference from traditional lighting, because it makes it that much easier for their crews to install, that much faster for their crews to install. Time and time again, during our studies that we've done in comparing traditional lighting to Levven, we have found that we're able to turn a 2.5 day rough-in down to a day flat. And with that, you're able to go from doing maybe 2 houses in a week with one crew to being able to do 4 houses in a week with one crew.
Wow, that's significant because that translates into days that this house is in possession of the builder. And these days with interest rates, the carrying costs are through the roof. So I'm sure that builders are extremely happy to hear anything that's going to get them faster to closing, to completing that home is a win here. So, Sean, I know you spend a lot of your time traveling throughout the United States to meet with your builder partners. So tell us some of the examples of the types of builders who are using your products, how are they using it, and how has that really changed their business?
Being able to have smart lighting at every single light switch in the house and offering it as a standard. Most people go and think that this is a move up product or this is for luxury homes. And the beauty of what I get to do here at Levven really is democratize the energy saving automations and bring it for all homeowners, whether it's a first time home buyer or someone looking for a move up or a luxury home. We're working with builders that are placing this in their 1,400 square foot starter homes, no options, completely standard homes. And they're placing it in, giving the homeowners the ability to have that full control, whether they're using the Levven app to be able to place evening and morning automations to turn the lights on and off, or if they're looking to change the light switch on the stairway because they have kids and make it so every time their kids hit the button, 5 minutes later it turns off. We place timers in our automations list for you to be able to choose what you want that switch to do. And so when you take a look at the luxury side, you have the ability to place as many 3-way, 4-way, 5-way, post-close, turn that into adding more locations, having dimming controls at any location in the house. And so it really gives a full-on customization for those homeowners, regardless if you're a first-time homeowner or a move-up buyer.
I love that. The customers want customization. We know that is a big reason why people want to buy new construction is because they want to choose everything. down to the switches and location of the switches. So you mentioned automations. It is definitely an awesome feature. So I was just in Europe for a little while, and it was like, okay, do we turn the lights on at night so everybody thinks we're still at home? So do you have ability to control it remotely, or is it built in where you can essentially program it to go on and off at certain times?
You're able to choose what your lights do from the app on your phone, and you're able to control it remotely. We do have integrations with Alexa and Google today. And if that's your preference to be able to utilize, you have access through that as well. But at the end of the day, there's individuals like you and I that do the smart components to it, that love technology. What I truly love about Levven is you don't have to have it be smart in order for it to work. So for the homeowners that are adamantly opposed to technology and saying, why do I need to use an app for that? They just work as a light switch out of the box, and you don't have to worry about the smart part of it. But for those that do want to get really techy with it, create some really extensive, unique automations with it, we give them the ability to have that.
Wow, that's really awesome. I think you have me hooked. Sean, where can I purchase the light switches? Because I think now I may want to go around my house and see, can I turn this into a smart switch? Can we lower this, up this? Do we need to add some extra switches? So what's the best place to find more information and to buy your product?
You can visit us at levven.com, and you're more than welcome to find us on Amazon, where we do sell for the retail side of it. Now, if you're looking at buying new construction, always request from the builder, hey, have you guys taken a look at Levven?
I love that little plug there. So Sean, what's in the future for you guys? Are you thinking about expanding your line to other smart type of electronics within the home? Talk to me about any future developments you're thinking about incorporating into your product line.
This is really my first foray into working for a tech startup, and I don't think I could have found a better place. Being out there, we're based in Edmonton, Alberta. I got to meet the engineering team, the R&D team, and seeing that we're truly a Willy Wonka-esque ideal there, where if you imagine it, we can make it come true. We're taking a look at quite a few different avenues of adding newer technologies in. We're dabbling a little bit into seeing what low voltage lighting looks like. We're taking a look at the current capabilities that we already have in place. Today, our light switches all have embedded temperature sensors at every switch in the house. So if you bought a new home construction that had Levven in it, and you want to take a look at the temperature data by room location, you have 40-something temperature sensors in every location of your home. As we're talking with other partners and possible partners to be able to utilize that data, it presents some pretty unique situations that could allow for cross communication with other companies and their devices. And so, nothing I can definitively say today, but I can say that we have quite a few fun things in the works, and I'm loving what I'm seeing from my Willy Wonka lab up there in Edmonton.
That's awesome. I can't wait to check out all the products that you guys have now and what's coming down. I'm very excited for that. Now you got me hooked, and I definitely want to switch out all the switches in my own home now. Sean, if there's a home builder listening to this and they think, hey, you know what, this would be a great product to incorporate in our homes, what's the best way to get in touch with you personally so they can get started?
They can send me an email to svo@levven.com. You can find us right off the website and send a notification there, or simply find me on LinkedIn, where you'll see a preview to this wonderful podcast.
Amazing. So I will be sure to share all that information in the show notes so it's easy for you guys to find it. And Sean, was there anything that I did not ask you during today's podcast, or anything we didn't cover that you think is important for our listeners to understand?
Home building really is one of those industries where there's tons of innovation coming into the marketplace, but home builders are not the quickest to adopt innovation. And right now, where interest rates are really dictating momentum, we're seeing highs and lows. We're seeing different markets run at different speeds. Taking innovations and really having them come in to help increase your saleability, reduce the build cycle time, reduce inefficiencies within your organization, or simply giving tools to your sales team that allows them to separate themselves from your competition. This is where it really makes or breaks a lot of the builders in the industry. And I'm glad to see an industry that has previously been slow to adopt innovations actually start taking an interest in adding more in. And that's what I'm really excited about, getting to understand what's out there in the market of what is allowing this industry to fully thrive. It's an exciting time to be part of it, and I'm glad that I get to meet wonderful individuals like yourself that are helping push that forefront.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. And likewise, Sean. So thank you so very much for being on today's podcast. I really enjoyed our conversation. Again, for somebody who knows absolutely nothing about electrical wiring of the home and how it works, and have always been terrified, now you actually got me excited to take a second look at what we're doing in our own home. And again, I think it's such a great product, whether you're a remodeler or building new construction. It's a great way to differentiate your homes from the competition. So thank you for being on today, Sean, and talk to you very soon.
Thank you.